I am at the Ebibitumi Ahimfie in the Eastern region. I am about to speak to the founder and leader of the Ebibitumi Ahimfie or Ebibitumi group, who is Professor Obedele Kambon. We want to delve more into issues related to Africanism and the Ebibitumi group. You are welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
So tell me more about Ebibitumi conference. We understand that there is a conference coming up very soon, probably this year, in the coming months. Tell me more about the conference.
Very good. So that will be September 6th through the 8th, right here at Ekwapem Mampon at Ebibitumi Ahimfie. And this is the second one. And for this one, it's very special because we're honoring my father who passed away. That's Nana Kamal Kambon, a world-renowned, scholar, in terms of someone who was really fighting for black liberation on every level possible. So, for the conference, the first year we had people from Burkina Faso, from Ghana, of course, from Togo, from Benin, from Nigeria, from the UK, from US, the Caribbean, just everywhere converging here. And really what we're doing is we are changing the discourse. Right now you have people who will say, oh, if you're going to church and you see a white man, you don't have to go again because you've seen God. It's like that's the level of thinking, that's the level of discourse. That's not going to get us anywhere. It's really, changing the discourse to one about how we can have power as black people so that, the different things that we need as a people can actually come to pass. That's in terms of being self-sufficient where it comes to energy, where it comes to power. And then also, those who are here and have been here stealing our land, stealing our resources and so forth, that, it's really about having the power to prevent that from happening, but that can't happen until we're actually discussing things along those lines. If we're fine with the status quo, that's one thing, but if we really want to develop the power in order to make things change for the better for black people, then this is what needs to happen.
So what really inspired you to undertake this wonderful initiative? And do you think after the first conference, there has been some level of enlightenment among black people?
There's definitely been enlightenment among black people. Just when you can see actual models that are here. So, for example, here at Ebibitumi, people are crying about doom solar, but here we're entirely on solar. So it's like this in and of itself can be a model. Who has more sunshine than us as black people? But meanwhile, we're trying to do all of these things that are really not, helping us. If you look at even, self-sufficiency where it comes to water. So, here we do a water catchment and then we do a solar borehole. So that means if it rains, we get water. If the sun shines, then we get water. Like these are models that we can actually show and replicate. The structure itself is built with mud blocks. Now these are things that, that's village, you can't do that. But now you can see a fine structure that's using our own indigenous architecture that's based on our own worldview. So just on several levels, this place in and of itself, it shows a model of what black power can look like. Here we grow our own food. So we have our plantain here, we have our bananas here. Everyone is crying about, the cost of food and, that you get in the market. But what about when we're able to grow our own foods? Yeah, you can be a professor and you can be growing your own food. Yeah, you can be a professor and you don't have to worry about ECG. And, all of these things are really showing models. And those who came and presented at the conference last year, they were able to present about what they're doing in terms of agriculture, what they're doing in terms of sustainability. And these are the rudiments in terms of the foundation, let's say even the first step to the black power that we're seeking. And it really comes not just from giving lectures and talking about it, it's from actually showing people that viable models exist that they can either support or they can replicate in other places as well.
Okay, so looking at how the education you are giving to black people has gone, do you think in future, how do you see the black continent? How do you see Africa? If what you are doing, you are consistent with it, how do you see projecting in the next 20 years? How do you see Ghana and Africa?
So, there's a quote by a noted historian, John Henrik Clarke, where he says, all history is a current event. What happened 5,000 years ago, what happened 5 years ago, and what happened 5 minutes ago will tell you what will happen 5 minutes from now, 5 years from now, 5,000 years from now. All history is a current event. And that is to say, if you look, for example, at classical Kemet, what they now refer to as ancient Egypt, but Kemet literally means the land of black people, that at that time, you know, people know that this was the pinnacle of civilization. Well, what made it a pinnacle of civilization? We prevented our enemies from coming in. We actually built walls to keep them from coming in. So now we cry about, you know, the resources that they're taking, whether that's coltan or diamonds or, you know, platinum or uranium. Way at that time, we actually built walls to prevent them from coming in. And anytime that they came in, we drove them out, in the case of the Hyksos and so forth. This means that there are lessons from ancient times that tell us what the future can look like if we start to operate on the same basis. One, of understanding that we're all black people, and even more so that this is Kemet. This is the land of black people. And therefore, it means that the foreigners are not supposed to be able to come in and do the things they do. When we say, oh, it's Africa, there's no meaning to it. But when we say it in our own languages like Abibi Mine, that tells you this is the land of black people. Well, let's act like it. In Yoruba, they'll say Ile Adulawo. That's land of black people. Okay, well, let's act like it, how we used to act like it back in the day. So what my vision is very similar to what my vision was, you know, or what our vision as a people was even 5,000 years ago. That should tell us that if we're able to operate on that same trajectory, that's what it can look like. And for those who are interested, the website conference.abibitumi.com, I'll spell that ABIBITUMI.com, conference.abibitumi.com. And Abibitumi translates to black power. So this is a term that I coined because, again, you have all of these, you know, discourses that are here. People are talking about everything from LGBTQ to everyone is promoting whatever their discourse is, but there really isn't so much of a discourse about how we can have power as black people in order to not only stand up to our enemies, but to defeat our enemies. So, you know, my father used to always say that high-level thinking precedes high-level conversation, and that precedes the solution to the problem. So, you know, I think that this is what it is that we're getting to the level of where we're doing high-level thinking, we're having high-level conversations, and now you can actually see how the implementation looks like here on the ground, here in the land of black people at Abibi Mine. So again, that's conference.abibitumi.com, and at the conference we'll be launching a documentary about my father, and it's going to be called Quiet Warrior: The Blacknificent Legacy of Nana Kamal Kamban. Now, blacknificent is a term that he coined because if you look at the English language, when they say black, they say, oh, it was a black day, it was Black Tuesday, oh, a black cloud. Everything black is supposed to be bad, but that's not universal, because if you look at our own languages, black has a connotation of perfection, has a connotation of completion, has, you know, all of these positive connotations of power and so forth. Even when, you know, someone passes away, the Ohene passes away, you make the stool black. So, you know, it means that their worldview, when we're speaking English, then we just adopt that. But when we're looking at it from our own worldview with our own world sense, then it's something vastly different. So that documentary, those who are interested, they can even become producers for the documentary by supporting it.
Talking about total black liberation, we are in 2024. Do you think Ghana, Africa are totally liberated?
Not at all, and that's even why we're doing what we're doing. If we were liberated, don't you think that we would get the profits from our own oil? If we were truly liberated, do you think we'd be wearing Obroniwewu clothes? If we were truly liberated, do you think that we would be dependent on gas? Like here we have our own biogas digester, so we don't have to go to the LPG station and, you know, so forth. So it's like if we were actually interested in coming up with solutions, every household, what we're doing here at Abibi Tumi shouldn't be like even something that it should be talked about. This should be normal. But now this is something that we actually have to put out there so that people can see, well, you know what, if this household is able to, you know, be self-sufficient, if that one, now it means that we're no longer dependent. There's a quote from the oldest book in the history of the world, which was actually written here in Kemet, the land of black people, by Imahu Patahotep. And in it says, Usejiman Chetef Nesu Khafti, and it translates to, he who listens to his belly belongs to the enemy. Nana Thomas Sankara says something similar. He said, he who feeds you controls you. So it means, how can you really be liberated? You know, how can you be independent, right? You know, we say we have independence. That means you're not dependent. But then by the same token, aren't we still, you know, begging the IMF for loans? Aren't we still begging them for clothes to clothe us? Aren't we still begging them for white rice to feed us? Meanwhile, you know, that causes so many, you know, health problems. So they make money off of the food that they're giving us, all these, you know, fast food restaurants that are coming in now. And then they'll make money on the medicines that they give us when we get the diabetes and have the heart attacks and have the strokes. So it's like, how can we really be independent when we're entirely dependent on our colonial enemies and our neo-colonial enemies opportunities for every, aspect of our lives. So really what a BB2Me is about is going beyond just saying things and giving lectures. People say, oh yeah, we need to have our own education system. Well, here at a BB2Me, my own children, on Mondays they learn in Chi. On Tuesdays they learn in Yoruba. On Wednesdays they learn in Wolof. On Thursdays, they learn in Medunecha, that's what they call hieroglyphs. On Fridays, we go between Kiswahili and Kikongo. So imagine I get out and say, oh yeah, we need to have our own languages, and then we don't speak any languages. This is a paradigm shift of going beyond raising consciousness to now raising behavior. And it comes through, I always say inspiration is showing people possibilities, and that's what the conference is about, actually showing that this is being done. It's no longer exhortation. Oh, everybody else needs to do it except for me. No, we're actually doing it ourselves. We're showing the models, and those models can be replicated. The things that we're doing, if you see the things we're doing, we drive Kantankas here. That's the car made here in Ghana. We have Maraphones, which are made in Rwanda. If you see the clothes that we wear, everything that we're about is really about Black power. So it's not going to be, I'm saying, oh, we need to do for self, and I'm wearing a three-piece suit. Well, isn't that what my father would call contrary diction? Yeah. No, so really it's about actually being about what we say that we're about in all aspects of our lives. And you can be part of that conversation that's going on. So download the BB2Me app, support the work that we're doing. The Quiet Warrior documentary, you can support that one as well, and you get something out of it. This isn't charity, this isn't, just give money. We're not starving children in Africa, we're building the Black nation, and any nation that needs to be built, they'll take taxes. We don't take taxes from anyone, but we expect that if you see people who are doing the real work on the ground to build the land of Black people, then you need to support that. When Trump is in trouble, he's gonna raise $1 billion overnight over the things that he did. He raped someone, he did, that's what they do to build their white nation. So what are we really doing to build our Black nation? Are we just buying the new iPhone? That's not enough. We need to, support those who are supporting us. In Kikongo, they say, Simba Simbi, and that translates to hold up that which holds you up. So what we're doing is we're holding up the Black nation. So Wufro Diapane Apion. So when you climb a good tree, you get the push upwards that you deserve. So this is the push upwards, and these are the ways that you can engage with Black power. Abibitumi, Abibi Fahodie, Black liberation.
What do you have to say concerning people who have the perception that holding up the Black power means inciting Blacks against whites?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reason why people have issues with that is because they've actually been taught by white people. Like if you look at the school system, it's the Oxford curriculum, it's the Cambridge curriculum. They know the reason why they bring that isn't to make you educated, it's to make you a very good servant. If you look at the religious system that they brought, where everyone is going to church praying to an image of a white man, they know what that does to someone psychologically. So, whatever people think, they think that not because they want to think it, they think that because they've literally been programmed to think the things that are in the interest of, the ones who implanted that in the first place. There's a quote by a noted psychologist, Nana Amos Wilson. He says, if you want to understand any problem, don't look at who suffers from the problem, look at who benefits from the problem. So once you see who benefits from that, now they say, oh, well, if we do anything to help Black people, then, maybe white people will be offended, or maybe they won't like this, so let me not do anything for Black people. Well, then by default, who are you doing something for, right? Where's your money going to? What about the billions of dollars that we send to the Netherlands for schnapps? If we want to be traditional, we need to send Netherlands money, and they're using that to pave their roads. They're building skyscrapers. Now, don't you think we can, use that same $1 billion, to pave the road right here? You see? But that's, what happens when we have this paralysis of analysis, that we're no longer even interested in doing things that help us. Now, every intelligent creature on the entire planet Earth, except for those who have been trained by their enemies, they do things that help themselves, whether it's zebras, you understand, they come together in a herd because they know that they have something in common. If you look at orcas, that's killer whales, they come together in their own interests. Lions come together in their own interests. Wildebeests come together in their own interests. Elk, deer, you name it, every intelligent creature, fish, sardines, every intelligent creature comes together in their own interest because they know what? We have a common ancestry. That's the genotype. We have common descent. How do I know that we have common ancestry? If I see you and I see you have stripes, then I know that you're a zebra just like me, and therefore we have common interests. But what happens when the zebras fight amongst each other? Well, guess what? The cheetah loves that, and they laugh all the way to the bank. So what we need to do is act like intelligent creatures, right? even though we've been trained by our colonial enemies, we need to actually come together on the basis of black power in our own interests and not worry about, what will it offend white people? Maybe they don't like it. You understand? So this is what we're going to do when we're really about black power, and we're not worried about what white people think or whether they're offended, or those who, serve the white people. We're not worried about what they think either, because we're moving forward with black power. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahondie.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.